Today's class, what we're going to be talking about is we're going to be reviewing some of the stuff that you read in the chapter that we assigned earlier in the week. That is about the parts and organelles of the cell. But before we get started with the actual worksheet discussion, I found this very cool, it's a YouTube video, but it's put out by Harvard, and it's a 3D animation of what things might look like in a cell, and it's very good for visuals and making connections. So we're going to run about a minute of this, and then we'll go on to the other discussion. These are some of the things that we will be talking about here in the near future. Okay. This is an endoplasmic reticulum. If you look, there's little blobbies right here. You look. This one is part of the cytoskeleton, motor proteins, and a vesicle. All right, this is a globby thing. Well, I want you to see how the action is here. This is, you can visualize this. It's the Golgi apparatus, and see how it's, just visualize the little globs here coming off. Just remember some of these things. We'll talk about these a little bit more in a minute. See this little guy that's kind of moving on his own? It's a mitochondria. Extremely important in a cell. All right. Anyway, it goes on for like it's almost 8 minutes. And so this will, I can give you the website and a link because actually the whole thing is very, very cool. And it's from Harvard and it's very well done. Okay. I would like you to take out the white sheet here. That's our worksheet. And we're going to be going over some of the cell organelles. The organelles are some of the basically organs that take place, that happen inside the cell. We're going to go over a couple of them right now. Just to let you know, we are going to be having a 10-point quiz on Friday. These are the answers to your quiz. Okay? So, what you can do is if you don't have the answers, just copy them and go along with them so you can fill in the blanks, and if you have any questions, we'll go over it later. Okay, the first one is the cytoskeleton we're going to talk about. Okay, does anyone here know what the cytoskeleton is or does? That's okay. Basically, it's a skeleton just like in your body. It provides a framework for the cell, and it also acts actually as a transportation network. You know, kind of think about what you saw in the picture in the video. Things get moved around the cell with your on the cytoskeleton. Another one that we're going to talk about is the mitochondria. Okay, mitochondria is one. I-O-N is for multiple. Okay? Does anyone know what the mitochondria does? It's okay. Rudy goes away, but no. This is the energy production center of your cell. This is your power plant. This produces, vitally important to your cell, produces all of the energy that's going to be needed in your cell. The interesting thing about mitochondria, you remember in the video how it showed it kind of glomming around and moving? A mitochondria is almost a separate cellular entity. It has its own DNA, it's circular, it replicates in a different pattern in the cell. It's kind of separate but equal, but extraordinarily important in your cell. Another one we'll talk about is the endoplasmic reticulum. Today's talk is all about $50 words. You know, they just make you sound so smart. Okay. All right, the endoplasmic reticulum. If you look on the picture on the worksheet itself, it shows this convoluted group of membranes and cells. That is that's a production factory. More important than anything in the cell, the workhorses of the cell are the proteins. The endoplasmic reticulum is where the protein production takes place. Okay? That's where your ribosomes are. Basically it's a work center. And the last one we're going to talk about is the Golgi apparatus. Now, you can remember from the video, remember that globby looking one that was squeezed off little containers? The function of the Golgi apparatus is to label and package proteins. So what it does is the proteins are collected and then they're formed into vesicles and they're transported then to other parts of the cell using the motor proteins and the cytoskeleton as a transportation network. So these are 4 of the questions that will be on your quiz on Friday. I want you to make sure that your worksheet's completed because these are the answers to your quiz. Okay, the second section of our class today is going to include a lab. What we're going to do is, if you look in your little Tupperware boxes here, we have our lab sheets, our lab reports are going to go on the yellow sheets. Now, if you look, in your lab box you have a Ziploc bag. Actually, there's 2 in case of emergency. And then we have some miscellaneous stuff. And I want you to put stuff in the little baggie that's going to represent miscellaneous organelles. It can be, and then you're going to use this to represent parts of your cell. And then also on your lab sheet, it's going to ask you why you use those things. So I want you to think about that as you are putting them in your cell. And then once you have stuff in your cell, your basic added organelles, I'm going to come around and one partner is going to hold the bag open. Another partner is going to pour Karo syrup, which is what I have chosen to be cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is a jelly which fills up your cell. It's like 80% water, but it allows for movement and communication, and it makes it a fluid, active environment. So why don't you go ahead and grab your baggies and put some organelles in there.
Okay.
Yarn 40. Yarn is number 5.
This is the mitochondria.
This is going to be abbreviated.
Straws.
This is a model. This is not going to be, completely per,
Oh, I would channel the cell membrane. Yes. This is a syrup.
Put stuff in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, put stuff in it.
These can be those.
It could be, and
Those, these 3. Not the 6. No, these are the
Pretty.
No, these are the mitochondria.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
That can be number 4, the nucleus.
you're not going to have this.
All right,
Take this.
that's fine.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead, Tina. You're going to pour the Karo syrup into your cell in case of emergencies.
Yeah.
Something this is
And it'll just keep going. Yeah. Okay. Now, what you're going to do is squeeze it partially, and we're going to squeeze the air out. Just going to squish it down and then close it all the way. You'll still have air bubbles and stuff like that. But just make sure that it's done before we squish it. Karo syrup is bad. Yeah. Well, you always have like lots of vesicles. You have lots of little centrosomes and Okay. Now see what you have in there? You have created, you feel like Dr. Frankenstein, you have created a cell. There we go.
Let's remove those. Yeah, sure. Just don't spill it on your piece.
Yeah, she's still
I still have to be dressed like this all day long.
all right.
This is which I'm in this. Pour faster.
All right.
Okay, that's good.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And then partially close your bag. Go from one side and then tip it sideways. I'm expecting to have lab reports due on Friday. If you look at the, you can use the front to answer the questions from the cell that you made. And on the second sheet is another question I want to have a written answer for. Okay. The question on the second sheet is one I want you to think about a little bit. If you've created a cell in lab, was this a plant cell, an animal cell, or bacteria? How do you know? What would you add or subtract to make it the other kind of cells? I need you to explain your answers, and I would like you to use complete sentences and spelling and grammar count. All right? Before we leave today, I'm just going to go through a little bit here. I want you just to call out to me just any old way. Who can tell me some of the functions for cytoskeleton?
Provides a structure for the cell.
Excellent. Okay, how about mitochondria?
It's the powerhouse of the cell and energy production.
Great. All right, Golgi apparatus.
Transportation network.
Well, it's attached to the transportation network too, but for the most part, it's going to make that which you transfer. That's what you transport. Now think of it as a packaging factory. Okay, that makes big truckloads of proteins to go to other parts of the cell. So it makes packages. And your endoplasmic reticulum.
Production factory, protein is produced in this place.
All right, thank you. And just remember, you got your we have a quiz on Friday, and we have lab reports due on Friday also.